If you own the top performing lens in 2015 that cost you $1,000, will it be outdated when paired with the latest entry-level camera in 2022? I got the Zeiss Batis 25mm f2 and the Sony a7 Mark IV today. How well could the lens keep up with the camera? Is the Zeiss Batis 25mm f2 still worth the $1,002 premium in 2022? Let's check it out. What's up everyone, James Tan here. The Zeiss Batis 25mm f2 was introduced in 2015 and it was the only native 24mm autofocus lens for the Sony a7 Mark II. There was no doubt to get it if you were looking for the best optical performing 24mm lens by that time. 7 years over, we have more than 10 24mm autofocus prime lenses for the Sony FE mount in 2022. They have a price tag from $1,400 to a bare $200. It will be interesting to see if the Zeiss Batis 25mm offers something unique that distinguishes itself from the crowd and justify the $1,200 price tag. The Zeiss Batis 25mm has a black anodized aluminum body and a dark grey focus ring. Zeiss include a peta-shaped hood for the Zeiss Batis 25mm with a beautiful curved design which integrates perfectly onto the lens body. The lens has a common 67mm filter thread and weighs 355 grams. It was the lightest 24mm f2 prime lens for the Sony FE mount until Samyang introduced its 24mm f1.8 in 2021. The Batis 25mm body is 78mm long without a lens hood. It balances nicely on both the smaller Sony a7C and the larger Sony a7 Mark IV. The blue gasket on the lens mount has a similar or identical thickness to the Sony 24mm f1.4 GM. Therefore, I believe that the Batis 25mm could withstand a reasonable amount of dust and water spray. The Batis lens series has a unique OLED screen to display the focusing distance and the depth of field. When you turn on the camera, you will notice the Zeiss wording on the Batis lens. Here are the tips. You can change the OLED screen settings by twisting the focus ring to the left or to the right. Firstly, you have to turn on the manual focus mode in your camera. Next, keep turning the focus ring to the right to switch the distance unit between the meter and feet. If you turn it to the left, you could choose the OLED display to be always on, always off, or only display the scaling during the manual focus. Turn the focus ring in the opposite direction to confirm your settings. The focus ring is a focus-by-wire design with a unique adjustment scaling according to your rotating speed. You could turn the ring slowly to have a precise adjustment, or turn it quickly to change the focusing distance rapidly. It has a comfortable resistance yet provides a smooth rotating experience. Now, we take a look at the Zeiss Batis 25mm f2 optical performance. All the in-camera and post-processing lens correction like sharpening, distortion, chromatic aberration and shading compensations are turned off. In case you are not aware, Sony cameras applies the in-camera shading compensation to both the RAW and JPEG files. I use the FS sample shot as a reference point in Capture One Pro. We could see that the lens has an impressive center sharpness from f2 until f11. However, it suffers from diffraction from f16 to f22. The corner sharpness at f2 is acceptable. Top down to f2.8 does improve the corner sharpness, and the corner shows its peak sharpness from f4 to f8. The corner sharpness at f11 is slightly softer, and the diffractions barely affect the corner sharpness at f16 and f22. In short, the Batis 25mm has a good corner-to-corner sharpness right from the f2 to f11. The center sharpness is comparable to the Sony GM, but the GM outperforms the Zeiss in the corner sharpness. Well, I have a more detailed comparison of the Zeiss and GM lenses in the coming videos. So, subscribe to my channel now for the upcoming comparison video. Besides, I will post crop shots and the written review on my website. You can get the link in the description below. Back to the Zeiss Batis 25mm. The chromatic aberration is well controlled, but it's not perfect. We could see red and green longitudinal chromatic aberration in those out of focus high contrast area as f2. It is significantly reduced when you stop down to f4. There are also minor magenta and purple lateral chromatic aberration in the corners across all the apertures. The lens also shows a minor barrel distortion. It is subtle and can be fixed easily in post-processing. The vignetting is horrible as it is wide open. Turning on the in-camera shading compensation will significantly reduce it in the RAW and JPEG files. The flare control of the Zeiss Batis 25mm f2 is adequate. There could be a weird purple flaring or a bright green orb in the center when shooting directly towards the sun. Well, it is an extreme lighting condition. Other than that, I do not find any concern in the regular shooting. The flare is well controlled and does not spread across the frame. The Zeiss website states that the Batis lenses give a magical Zeiss 3D pop effect and deliver a harmonious bokeh when shooting at a wide open aperture. I list a few examples here and leave them for you to justify the Zeiss 3D pop effect. I also take some bokeh sample test shots. Bokeh in the center remains circular, while the off-center bokehs become a lemon shape at the widest open f2. The bokeh balls change to a 9-sided polygon shape when stopped out to f2.8. Well, the bokeh rendering is not as smooth as I expect from a Zeiss lens. You could see some onion ring texture in the bokeh balls. Besides bokeh, the sun star effect is another important factor for a top quality lens. Thanks to the 9 aperture breaks, the Batis 25mm can produce a beautiful 18 spike sunstar effects from f5.6 to f22. The Batis 25mm stand out from the crowds with its 20cm minimum focus distance and the 0.19 times magnification. Both the autofocus and manual focus give you the same MFD and magnification. From what I'm aware, only the Samyang 24mm f1.8 offers a similar MFD and 19cm and 0.21 times magnification. The Tamron 24mm f2.8 and Sigma 24mm f3.5 offer a whopping 0.5 times magnification, but they have a much lower aperture. The Batis 25mm has impressed me with its autofocus performance despite using a 7-year-old autofocus mechanism. The autofocus performs silently and accurately in photo and video shooting, including the eyes autofocus. The lens rarely hunts in the continuous AF mode. However, the focus briefing is noticeable and it does not have any on-lens stabilizer. One bad news here. The Batis 25mm is incompatible with the Sony A7 Mark IV briefing compensation. Keep in mind that this feature is only compatible with the selected Sony lenses at the moment. I do wish Sony would extend this feature to the third-party lenses. Before concluding the Zeiss Batis 25mm review, let's check out a few more real-life sample shots. The Zeiss Batis 25mm f2 is a 7-year-old lens, but it does not show its age. When combining the size, the weight, the fast aperture, the optical performance, and the autofocus performance, the Zeiss Batis 25mm is still a solid wide-angle fast prime in a compact body in 2022. The only rivals are the Sony 24mm f1.4GM and perhaps the new Samyang 24mm f1.8. If you could get the Zeiss Batis 25mm at a great discounted price, go ahead. However, the $1,200 price tag makes me hard to recommend it in 2022. If I'm looking for the best optical performing 24mm fast prime in 2022, I will top up another $200 for the Sony 24mm f1.4GM. The GM lens optically outperforms the Zeiss in almost every aspect, marginally. Although it is not a day and night difference, it is enough to justify the $200 difference. I want to get the best when spending on a $1,000 lens. I have a detailed comparison between the Zeiss Batis and the Sony GM in the forthcoming video. So, remember to give this video a like and subscribe to my channel now. That's all for the review. See you in the following video.